What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be doing the review of the Bells of Steel Blitz Bike 2.0. I know you can't really see it because my camera lens isn't wide enough, but for this video, I'm going to get behind the camera. I'm going to give you a little walk around of the bike, kind of talk about all the construction features and whatnot, and then I'll get back in front of the camera and give you my final thoughts and what I think of the Bells of Steel Blitz Bike. But without further ado, let's take a look. Alright, so here it is, the Bells of Steel Blitz Bike 2.0. The design is more similar to the Assault Air Bike Classic, but it does have some things that are reminiscent of the Echo Bike, mainly that back seat post and then the belt drive. I like to think of the Blitz Bike as kind of like a cross between the two. The dimensions are kind of in between the Air Bike Classic and the Air Bike Elite. It's 53 inches long, 23 inches wide, and 51 inches tall. The weight of the Blitz Bike is 118 pounds, so it is heavier than the standard assault bike by about 20 pounds, and then it is lighter than the Echo Bike. What it feels like to move this thing around, though, it's very similar to the Echo Bike. It's very bottom heavy, and I think that's due to the chain drive. So moving this thing around is pretty cumbersome, even though it does have wheels in the front. I do wish that they had created a bracket for the wheels so you could tip it over a little bit easier, kind of like the Air Bike Classic. The fan is 25 inches in diameter compared to the 27 inches of the Air Bike Classic. You're not really going to notice that. The Echo Bike definitely has a bigger fan for sure. The handlebars are more similar to the Air Bike Classic. Obviously, I mean, they're pretty much identical. These pegs just kind of screw in. They don't rotate like the Echo Bike. The construction of this machine is really, really nice. I think it's, pretty much on par with the Air Bike Classic, maybe even a little bit better. Not as good as the Echo Bike, but it's pretty close. Building it and putting it together is a novice thing. You don't really need any experience putting gym equipment together to put this thing together. It comes with all the tools and everything. It takes about 30 minutes. One thing that I do like about the Blitz Bike is that this little eyelet joint right here is it pivots and turns and whatnot compared to the flat bushing of the Assault Bike. I think that'll hold up over time. The ZebX had that as well, and I haven't had any issues in the last 5 years with my ZebX bike. So the Blitz Bike does come with an included wind guard. That's optional for the Air Bikes and the Echo Bike. You have to pay for that. The water bottle holder is free as well. It's included. You have to pay for that with the Echo Bike and the Assault Bike. And then the Assault Bike does have a cell phone holder. The Echo Bike, you do have to pay for one of those. One thing that I don't like about the Blitz Bike is that this post here, no matter what I do, is always a little bit loose. And so when you go and press the buttons on the monitor, it kind of shakes it or kind of rocks it back and forth. Just a little quirk, don't really care for. Probably shouldn't bother that many people though. The pedals just kind of screw on. They're nice, they're grippy. I don't mind them, so I can't really complain about that. There is a belt drive. It's not a chain drive like the Air Bike. The belt is right here. So there should be little to no maintenance with this, but who knows what replacing a belt drive would look like if something went wrong. So that's never happened to me on the Rogues, but I know some people have had their belts come off the track. Like I said, it hasn't happened to me personally, but that's something to consider. You have the Blitz logo on the seat post. I don't really care for this. I think it's a little bit much, but it's not that big a deal, I guess. And you can also remove it. They're just stickers. The post is nice and beefy. It slides in and out very well, much better than the Assault Bike. a little bit more on par with the Echo bike. It kind of feels like it's really solid and heavy duty. The seat itself is nice. It's really cushioned. This is probably my favorite seat between the Echo bike, which has a nice big seat that's very comfortable, but I think it's a little bit too big, and the Assault bike, which it's an okay seat, but it's just not as soft as this one. One thing that I don't really care too much for is this seat adjustment, sliding it back and forth. You have this little lever here that you pull up, and then you can kind of slide it back and forth, and it's just on a slider. The problem about this is that while it's not that hard to adjust, it's hard to get any kind of continuity when you have a couple people riding it at one time. Like if everybody's changing the setting on this, it doesn't click into place or anything. There are some numbers, but like it doesn't really click when you hit those numbers or anything. So it's hard to keep a setting here. The actual like seating position though, like height wise, I think is the best for me personally out of the Assault Air bike and the Echo bike. The Echo bike, I'm somewhere in between a 3 and a 4, and it's never really comfortable for me. For the Assault bike, I ride on a 5, sometimes a 6, and then on the Blitz bike, I ride on a 6 or a 7. And I think the 7 is probably what I would do if I was running like sprints. And then the 6 is what I would do if I had like a longer ride. But it just kind of depends. But I do like the seating position a lot with the Blitz bike. Another thing that I dislike about the seat is that this area is way too sharp. Like I have a really nasty scar from coming off the bike and then this catching the inside of my leg. Both of these scars are from the Blitz bike. So that is a safety hazard. Maybe you're not supposed to get off that way, but you know, that's just the way that I get off sometimes. It's an issue with the Assault bike, not so much with the Echo bike, but this is not good. This is not safe. If someone were to fall and hit this, that would be a bad situation. So maybe like a covering, maybe a different shape. This is just not, it's not safe. Now let's take a look at the monitor, which is okay. I want to say it's okay. So it turns on very, very fast, like almost instantaneously, which I really like. Everything is pretty easy to read, like you have your time, your distance, your calories, your RPMs, your speed, your watts, and then you have your reverse Tabata, custom intervals, target time, distance, calories, and then target heart rate if you have a heart rate monitor, which you can hook up to this. The couple things that I would like to see maybe added for like future revisions is I'd like to see like the tenths, just so that I know how long it's going to take for me to get to the next full calorie. Another thing is the distance is kind of like guesswork. It just counts, you know, all the way up to 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and then the hundredths are, you know, right back there. You can switch the speed to miles per hour or kilometers per hour, but I don't think that switching it from kilometers per hour to miles per hour changes the actual distance measure. And I think that's always going to be in meters, which is fine because, I mean, it just works. But I would like to see that option to use imperial. And I think that the monitor also turns off too fast. So that's okay if you're doing like interval work, but the monitor turns off in 30 seconds. So if you're doing a longer workout, the monitor can turn off a little bit too quick, and if you don't remember where you're at, getting back on it and keeping track of that, it kind of becomes a pain. But if you're good about keeping track about that, then I guess it's not that big a deal. But I think at 30 seconds is a little bit too fast. Another weird thing that I found on this is that the start and the start is in red and the stop is in green, which it's very small, but you know, it's just a little odd. But otherwise, the monitor is okay. It could be backlit, and then you know you could see the in-between calories, and then I think there should be some kind of indicator saying what kind of distance you're doing.
All right, so that was pretty much all the construction and build quality features of the Blitz Bike 2.0. I think this machine is made very, very well. It's put together extremely well. If there was anything that I could gripe about a little bit more, it's that the actual packaging that it comes in is not the greatest. When I got mine, the packaging was pretty much destroyed, and there are marks pretty much all over the bike. The actual fan cage is bent on mine, so that's a little annoying if you're paying that much for a bike to receive it and it be beat up like that. But I guess half of that is not really, or more than half of that is not really Bells of Steel's fault. As far as like the riding performance of this goes, I feel like when I first got on it, I thought it was a little bit easier than the Assault bike. And I think the reason for that is because the belt drive kind of gives you this feeling of it's very, very smooth. If you've never used a belt drive bike before, it's just a lot more smooth and quiet than a chain drive is. So it kind of gives you this feeling like, oh, this might be a little bit easier. But after like extended use and comparing with other people that have assault bikes and whatnot, I do have assault bikes. It's been a little bit since I've ridden one, just because I'm not at the gym right now. But after comparing and everything, I feel like the calories do count pretty much equally to the assault bike. My test kind of was, I did like a 15 calorie sprint. On this bike, it took me 13 seconds. Like, this is going like full out. And I don't remember ever being able to do that on an assault bike that fast. But going for like more of just a controlled ride, I tried to hold like 70 RPMs. I think it was, no, 70, or it was 80 RPMs. And by doing so, I was averaging about 45 seconds getting to 15 calories, which sounds pretty much in line with the assault bike. It's definitely easier than the Echo bike. The Echo bike is just harder than any of the bikes. It just is what it is. It's a bigger fan. It's just harder to get that thing going. But the Bells of Steel Blitz bike does have a little bit of similarities to that one in that once you let off the belt, it slows down a lot faster than the chain will. So that's one thing that is harder on the Echo bike, or that makes the Echo bike harder, that is present with the Blitz bike. But since the fan is smaller, I think it's easier to get it back up and going again. So it's a little bit more forgiving than the Echo bike, but it's a little bit more unforgiving than the assault bike. The chain is very liberal with keeping its speed. Like, it's easy to let off the assault bike and then get back on it and keep on going like that. Whereas with a belt drive, once you start letting off, it's harder to get back on it. And that's one thing that I've noticed between using the Blitz bike, the assault bike, and the Echo bike. All in all, I do think that the Blitz bike is actually probably my pick for like a home use air bike. And the reasoning for that is because it carries a lot of the features and a lot of the benefits of having the Echo bike, like the quieter belt drive, the smoother ride, and it has a lot of the good things about the assault bike as well, in that it's a little bit more compact. I'm 5'9", 175 pounds. I fit on this perfectly, and this has a weight limit of up to 350 pounds if you needed to get it up that high. But also, my girlfriend, who's like maybe 5 feet tall, she can ride this too, and she can ride it just fine. And I know that other people at the gym, like shorter people at the gym, do not like riding the Echo bike because it's too big for them. And just physically, they just have a harder time riding it. With the Blitz bike, it's not an issue. So you don't run into that problem as the Echo bike, but you still get the belt drive. It's quiet, it's smooth, it's built really well, and it counts very similar to the assault bike. So you get kind of the same performance of the assault bike, minus the loudness of the assault bike, and you get some added features like the wind guard, you get the bottle holder, and then I guess the cell phone stand is kind of a wash between the two. But otherwise, I think the Bells of Steel Blitz bike is definitely worth it. For $650, that's a really good deal. You're getting a lot of value with this bike, and it's an excellent bike to use inside of your garage gym. I think it'd be an excellent bike to use inside of your affiliate if you wanted to get away from assault bikes. I know a lot of people are doing that because, I mean, let's be honest, they're not the most bulletproof things in the world. So right now the Bells of Steel Blitz bike is out of stock, as most things are, but I highly recommend that you pick this up. $650 is a bargain for this air bike. Definitely recommend it. If you guys have any questions about the Bells of Steel Blitz bike, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Okay, so that was 79 RPMs pretty much the whole time, and I finished 15 calories at 40 seconds.